Tennessee gets the commit of a highly touted in-state prospect, one of a priority, and why Tennessee's class is on to a top 10, maybe even a top 5 finish for the class of 2025. That and more, it's Tuesday, Locked On Vols.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, good Tuesday morning, everybody. Welcome to Locked On Vols. I am your host, Eric Kane. Thank you so much for being here, making Locked On Vols your first listen, your first watch each and every day. Shout out to you everydayers for making the show what it is. And your time is coming up in segment number 2 and a little in 3 with mailbag questions. That's coming up. A little Christian Moore talk in segment 3 as well, because the dude is on fire right now. But first, Radarious Jackson. He commits to Tennessee, becoming the 9th commit for the class of 2025, and why this one is key. That's coming up here in a matter of seconds. We are on Locked On Vols on the YouTube channel. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You can watch us, listen to us, download us, follow us, all that for free wherever you get your podcasts, and of course on the Locked On Vols YouTube channel. Big shout out to our friends over at Game Time today. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. That is Game Time. So, Radarious Jackson commits to the University of Tennessee. Why is this significant? Well, Radarious Jackson is a highly touted in-state prospect. He's considered the 6th-ranked prospect in the state, according to the On3 industry rankings. According to On3 itself, the number 3 ranked prospect in the state of Tennessee. The On3 industry rankings has him as overall prospect number 237, so he's a part of the On 300 in the country, but On3 has him ranked as the 80th prospect in the country. Obviously, On3 very high on Radarious Jackson, who was very much a late bloomer. Junior tape was really, really impressive. Okay, he's from the Memphis area. He is 6'2", 180 pounds. He plays for Sheffield. He burst onto the recruiting scene last year because of that junior tape. He won the 2023 Tennessee Titans Mr. Football Award winner for Class 3A classification. He accounted for 1,742 all-purpose yards as a junior, 27 total touchdowns, 40 tackles on defense, 7 interceptions on defense. And Tennessee was in on him early. Ole Miss was in on him early because, of course, just across the river there, Ole Miss is a priority. Mississippi State was in on him as well, and Auburn too. Those are some of the early teams who were in on him. But, of course, that list grew a lot over the last couple of months. But Radarious Jackson continued to come back to Tennessee and made it a habit coming to Tennessee. And so thought that his timeline would be stretched out a little bit more kind of towards the month of May, but kind of got wind last week that, hey, he's going to make a call here pretty soon, and it was kind of easy to dissect that he was going to pick Tennessee because he's been here so much here lately, of course, a couple of weeks ago as well. Again, 2025, he's a wide receiver, 6'2", about 180, from Sheffield High School in Memphis, Tennessee. And over at VolQuest.com, Austin Price actually sat down and talked to Radarious Jackson at the time of his commit, and he had a lot of good things to say about Tennessee. You can check, again, that full interview over there at VolQuest.com. But a couple of quotes here. Said, when I went to go on my visits, I got to see plenty of the facilities, how the players practice, and how the coaching staff, how they see me in the offense. It was very good for me and my play style to see myself someday playing at Tennessee. On Kelsey Pope, said, coach is a good coach and a hardworking coach, a coach that makes bonds with his players, a coach that is all about business and knows what it's like from the bottom. On Josh Heupel, Coach Heupel is a cool dude. I also like his coaching style and the speeches he gives as a head coach during his talks with the team. The messages he gives are uplifting, inspirational, and motivational. So, again, that was a little bit from his interview with Austin Price over at VolQuest.com. Go check out the rest of that. We'll check out Matt Ray's impact analysis and read a quote or two from Charles Power, who Matt always talks about whenever Tennessee always talks to when Tennessee gets a commit from for the class of 2025 or whenever. It's Charles Power. He's the director of rankings and scouting for On3. This is what Charles Power had to say about Radarious Jackson. Radarious Jackson is a prospect that we've liked quite a bit, dating back to the fall. I think, simply put, he's a playmaker. This is a guy who finds ways to impact the game in really every phase, every aspect. Not surprising that he was named Mr. Football for his classification after the end of the season. He's a guy who I think shows exciting flashes as a receiving prospect. For starters, I think he shows very, very good burst off the line. He can track the ball, winning contested situations. I think what makes Radarious Jackson interesting is his ability after the catch. He's a bigger receiver at 6'2" to 195, but gets north and south quickly. Shows a good bit of wiggle in making defenders miss in space, and he kind of becomes like a running back with the ball in his hands. Goes on to say, so I think he can make a lot of plays in the quick game. He's a guy who you want to have the ball off, who you could hand the ball off and just use it in multiple ways. I just love his overall toughness. We see him play defense. We see him carry the ball. He's made plays as a return man. There are so many things that I like and are encouraging about the football player on Friday night when you turn on the tape. Then, of course, he's a good basketball player. I just think he's a guy who's just kind of a competitor, a gamer. I think once he focuses solely on receiver and gets the coaching he's going to get at Tennessee, I think there's certainly an upside that Vol fans should be excited about. End quote there from Charles Power. He's got a couple more quotes in here over on the impact analysis from Matt Ray. That is at volquest.com. Go ahead and check that out. Radarious Jackson, he was a highly touted in-state prospect. I remember when I went back, and after signing day, I always do a story over at volquest.com when I look ahead to the next class and say, okay, well, this class is all signed, sealed, and delivered for the most part. Let's look ahead to those junior days that are coming up in January, those OVs in June, the spring practices in March and April. And I list a number of different prospects, and you kind of go through that list. I don't have it pulled up here, but I know one of them was George McIntyre, committed. One of them was Ethan Utley, committed. One of them was Radarious Jackson, committed. Another one is Cam Sparks, we'll see. And, David Sanders, we'll see. And a couple other ones as well. Joakim Dotson, I think, was in there. He's committed. So Tennessee's doing a really nice job of in-state prospecting and kind of, we talk about it all the time at the offensive tackle position, at the wide receiver position, casting a wider net. And that way you're not going to get them all, but you're in on a lot of them that you really, really like and you value. And there's a lot of guys that Tennessee really values at wide receiver. I mean, Tennessee's still in it with 5-star Jaime Ffrench. Tennessee's still in it with Travis Smith, Derek Meadows, Caleb Cunningham, Thomas Blackshear, Cam Sparks, who I mentioned. Tennessee already has Joakim Dotson, another Memphis area native at wide receiver. Now you add in Radarious Jackson, who Radarious Jackson they think is highly of Radarious Jackson as they do Jaime Ffrench and some of these other ones. So this is a big get. This is a really, really big get. I know you look at the recruiting services and all that. On3 is really the only one that is high on him right now. But I promise you that's going to change as this cycle kind of continues and he gets back out there for a senior tape. I mean, he's a guy that a lot of teams across the country and specifically the SEC really started to gain a lot of momentum with, or in terms of, not momentum, I guess I should say, they really started turning it up and trying to turn on the charm to impress Radarious Jackson and to get him on campus and get him to give them a chance. But really, this was Tennessee and Ole Miss from the get-go because they were the first two on him, and Tennessee being the home state school, the exciting offense, the coaching, all those things that Radarious Jackson already mentioned, kind of won out here in the end. So you look at this class of 2025 for the University of Tennessee now over at On3, and Tennessee now has 9 commits. 5-star George McIntyre, 4-star Ethan Utley, defensive lineman. Of course, McIntyre's the quarterback. 4-star Jack Vendosolaire, the tight end. 4-star Radarious Jackson, the wide receiver. Then a couple 3-stars in Sidney Walton, safety, who committed last week. Dylan Lewis, cornerback. Justin Baker, running back. Joakim Dotson, the wide receiver I just mentioned. And Tyler Redmond, the cornerback as well. So, again, the foundation for this class is kind of starting to take shape. You got a couple priorities in there. GMAC was your quarterback. He's done. Ethan Utley, highly in-state prospect on the defensive line. He's done. Radarious Jackson, up-and-comer wide receiver, fast rising in the class of 2025. He's done. He committed to Tennessee on Monday afternoon. This is shaping up to be a really, really nice class, and I think the potential there to be not only top 10, potentially top 5. It is there, and how that's going to work, I will tell you when we get into the mailbag questions, because there's a question specifically on the outlook for the class of 2025. A good win for Tennessee, a good win for Kelsey Pope, and a good win for Josh Heupel as Tennessee gains the commit, earns the commit of Radarious Jackson from Sheffield in the Memphis area, wide receiver, 4-star for the class of 2025. Hey, when we come back, we'll jump into some of those mailbag questions. We'll hit that question about recruiting the first one from the get-go when we return. That is coming up next as you continue on listening to a Tuesday Locked On Vols. I want to say about our friends over at Game Time, now authorized ticket marketplace for Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets even faster, even easier. Prices on Game Time app actually go down the closer you get to first pitch. Killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, the lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets to your favorite Major League Baseball team. Locked On College is that promo code where you can take the guesswork out of buying tickets. You can download the Game Time app, put in that promo code Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. Locked On College, LOCKEDONCOLLEG, Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase, where you can download the Game Time app, last minute tickets, lowest price guarantee. That lowest price guarantee, again, if you can find a cheaper ticket out there than what you can find on the Game Time app, they're going to credit you 110%. Again, promo code Locked On College at the Game Time app. Download the day for $20 off your first purchase over on the Game Time app. I want to tell you about our friends over at FanDuel as well. Well, it's playoff time in the NBA, NHL, baseball. The season is here, and FanDuel is your place to bet on every single game. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That is $150 win or lose. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks. It's all on the safe, secure, and easy-to-use app over there at FanDuel. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to make your first bet an automatic win. That is FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, it is America's #1 sportsbook. All right, guys and gals, welcome back into your Tuesday edition of Locked On Vols. You everydayers, now is your time as we get into the mailbag edition of the show. Do want to say, hey, there's a lot of times when I put that tweet out there, and you guys know I record, afternoonish, eveningish from the night before. So a lot of times I don't see when you send in questions later in the night, and sometimes it sucks because they're really good ones. This one that I'm going to start with actually is one. Actually, where is this? I'm not going to start with this one. There's one about Keenan Peely. I don't know who sent it in there. I can't find it right now. But someone asked about Keenan Peely. Oh, right here. It's Pauly. Pauly says, what is your expectations for Keenan Peely? I feel like he has a pretty high expectations, but we've really only seen him play one game. So he actually sent this one in last week, and I was like, man, that's a pretty good one. He sent it again this week, so I appreciate the persistence there. It's very fair. I mean, we always talk about how Keenan Peely is like a sure thing, right? It's like, oh, well, thank goodness you got Keenan Peely back. Then you can kind of figure it out here, whatever. Injuries are part of the game. Football's a contact sport. And, we saw that last year when he played one game and he was out for the rest of the season. I think he's a pretty overall solid linebacker. I think he had a really solid spring. I think in spring practices and in camps, he's been really good for Tennessee. And they like his makeup and they like his knowledge of the game and obviously his maturity because he's very much an older guy. William Minge calls him Uncle Grandpa in the room. I don't think he's an all-SEC player. I don't think he's an NFL player at this point in time. However, I do think he can be a pretty good football player for Tennessee. I do. You just can't coach experience. He's got so much of it. So expectations, you hope he stays healthy, but I expect him to be Tennessee's leading tackler and Tennessee's captain on the defense and to be a really good sounding board for some of these young LBs and some of these guys on defense in this new look secondary. So I expect him to be a player. I expect him to be one of Tennessee's better players. But you're right. I mean, injuries are a part of the game, so we'll have to see exactly how durable he can be. Let's go to Louisiana Vol. This is from the YouTube channel. Do you think this year could finally be the year that Josh Heupel gets a top 5 recruiting class? If so, how do you see that happening? Where do the biggest recruits come from, and at what position? He said, I'm hoping offensive line. LOL. Yeah, you and me both, buddy. This is the one that I kind of thought about in terms of, could Josh Heupel be on his way to a top 5 recruiting class? And this is kind of a double-edged sword because if you're number 6 or number 7 or number 8 in the country, that's still a really good recruiting class. If you're French top 10, that's still a really good recruiting class. The problem and the caveat there is if you're number 7 in the nation, you're probably number 4 or number 5 in the SEC. It just means more, right? I do think that Tennessee has the makings of being a top 5 class this year. Now, I'm not going to say I expect it because that's something Tennessee hasn't done in a long time, and it's tough to do, right? I mean, it's really, really tough to do. But I do think that this will be a solid top 10 class no matter what, and it will be knocking on the door of top 5. So I'll say no for now just because it's so hard to do, but I think Tennessee's on its way. Now, how will it get there? Offensive line and wide receiver. Radarious Jackson just jumped in the boat, and of course he's, on 3 has him very, very high, number 80 in the country. Other recruiting services haven't caught up just yet. But Tennessee's also in on Jaime Ffrench and Cunningham and some of these other highly touted, highly rated 4-star, 5-star wide receivers. If Tennessee were to get 1 or 2 of those, man, that would help an awful lot. On the offensive line, Tennessee is close and Tennessee is in on, and Tennessee's very much there with David Sanders and Jalen Matthews. Talking about Sanders, a top 30 prospect in the country, 5-star, and Matthews, last I checked, was a top 100 prospect. That's the offensive tackle position. I think Tennessee can get it done with those guys. Will it? We'll see. We'll have to finish. But I like where Tennessee is with those guys, and we'll see what happens. So in order to be close or a fringe top 5, wide receiver and offensive tackle, you got to hit on some of those prime targets that you're very, very in on right now. And I think that's kind of the path to that. Let's go to Rob Abbott. Any news with A.J. Russell and his health? Again, I try to check in about once a week on him. I don't want to pester, the people I talk to over there, but he started throwing a little bit. Still, this was last week, still weeks away. I've been kind of putting it out there like early to mid-May. It's kind of when I plan to see him. Barring a setback, he's going to pitch this year again. He will not be your Friday night starter throwing 120 pitches in a game. That just won't be him. He'll be used as a short stint guy to open a game, middle relief, to close a game, whatever the case is. But I still think that he's a couple of weeks away at this time. But I'll double check on that this week. But he is moving in the right direction. Rob asks, did you hear what was said to Semo after his last home run to lead to the warnings to both dugouts? I know it's always chirpy between us and them, that being Kentucky, but the game was in Lexington. It seemed to be a little extra this year. It was a great atmosphere all weekend long. I went on my little spill about the cheerleading chants from the dugout there. I'm not going to do that again, but it was a great atmosphere, great crowd all weekend long. Really, really awesome baseball series. I don't know specifically what happened. I guess I'm just assuming the Semo said something to their dugout when he was rounding third base. You can see him kind of looking over there, feeling himself. He just hit his 3rd home run, right? That's my assumption. I don't know, but that's my assumption. And the conversation was because they had already kind of talked to both benches before, and we didn't know in the press box if he had already worn both benches, because just like with Burke earlier in the year, if you've already worn both benches and somebody does something like that, that's an automatic ejection, kind of like a personal foul in football, right? So there was a conversation there after he hit his 3rd home run. He might have been tossed from the game. And I remember I turned over to Ryan Shumpert next to me, a Rocky Top Insider, and said, what a legendary game. Breaks the home run record, hits 3 bombs, drives in 5 runs or whatever, and gets kicked out of the game. He didn't get kicked out of the game. That's when they officially did the warning. So to answer your question, I don't know what was specifically said. I assumed it was something Semo did, but maybe I'm wrong in that regard. Let's go to Aaron. Hey, Eric, you have to play 1, bench 1, cut 1. What's your answer? A little star bench cut. All right. Peyton Manning, T. Martin, Hendon Hooker. That one's easy to me, and I can't believe I'm doing this in terms of the guy that won a national championship, but from the quarterback position, you start Peyton Manning, you bench Hendon Hooker, you cut T. Martin. That's pretty easy for me. At running back, Jamal Lewis, Montario Hardesty, Jalen Wright. You start Jamal Lewis. I mean, he's a 2,000-yard rusher in the NFL. I like Jalen Wright so much. You guys know this. Montario Hardesty was so good. He was just always hurt. I'll bench Hardesty and I'll cut Wright, but that's tough. That's tough because, man, I think those 2 running backs are phenomenal. Let's go to wide receiver. I mean, you're talking about Tennessee greats here. Go to wide receiver. Peerless Price, Robert Meacham, Jalen Hyatt. You start Robert Meacham. I will bench Jalen Hyatt and cut Peerless Price. I understand Jalen Hyatt was pretty much a one-hit wonder that 1 year, and Peerless did more throughout his career. But boy, that 1 year was good. It was really good. And that Alabama game, he will be a Tennessee legend for that Alabama game alone. He said, sorry, I didn't have any questions about anything specific today. Hey, Aaron, that was fun, man. I appreciate that. Let's go to Skylar. Seems like to me, in an ideal world, Tennessee football wants Sham to win the left guard job. It will allow Dane Davis, Jackson Lampley, Andre Carrick to be the top backups. Am I reading too much into spring practice? Thoughts? No, I mean, I think that would be, honestly, for Tennessee to be as good as it can be, I think it would be for Sham to be the starting left guard. I'm with you there. Is he ready? We won't know that until sometime in fall camp. I think he took steps in spring. I don't think he's anywhere close to a finished product, but for Tennessee to be its best, then yeah, I would agree with you. I think Sham playing left guard would be great because then you have experienced guys like Andre Carrick, Jackson Lampley, and Dane Davis who have started games for Tennessee. And in Dane Davis's case, many games for Tennessee. He can be that swing man, that first backup guard, whatever the case is. I think that'd be a really ideal situation for sure. But it's all about fall camp if he continues to progress. Let's go to Jared. Jared says, baseball question, Kaner. Why is it that we can't see some fun anymore in baseball? Bat flips, talking smack, wanted to shout out and celebrate Sunday with those homers, but held myself back I had to wait and see if the ump was going to toss SEMO. Thoughts? Does this hurt the thrill of college baseball? Twofold again here. I think so many times college umpire, it's the ump show. Did you see Aaron Boone at the Yankees game yesterday get tossed when a fan is the one that said something to the umpire and they tossed Aaron Boone? Aaron Boone's like, yo, I didn't say anything. And you can hear the umpire say, I don't care. Doesn't matter. I don't care. There were some great umpires. There are some great officials out there. I know many of them, and I know it's an impossible job. But it kills me how sometimes umpires and officials think that we show up to watch them. It's the referee show. Couldn't be farther from the truth, man. There was another clip this week. It feels like you see a clip every weekend. There was a clip this weekend of, I forgot what game it was, but some guy hit a home run and he was bat flipping and having a good time. And the umpire literally ran with him down to first base. Dude, what the flip are you doing, you loser? Oh my gosh. So in that respect, Jared, yes. Yes, man. I mean, they're taking away the fun a lot of times. On the other side of the coin, 2022 Tennessee took it to the extremes more times than not. With respect, running around first base, flipping off the center fielder is not. There's no, you can't do that. Turning around and mouthing or saying bad words to the umpire, really bad words, and then acting like you have no clue why in the world you just got tossed from this baseball game. I mean, come on, Drew Gilbert. You know what I'm saying? It's fun. It's awesome. They're legends. But in the same respect, you can't have that. So I'm fine with bat flips. Dude hits 3 home runs in a game. He should be able to do whatever he wants to. In the same respect, if a pitcher strikes out somebody in a big-time situation, they should be able to do whatever they want to. Sometimes I think the umpires are very much the fun patrol, and they just stink. But more times than not, I think that they do a good job. And I know that's an unpopular opinion. All right, we're going to go on. We're going to answer some more questions in segment number 3. We'll hit on SEMO a little bit more. Got a lot of questions here, a lot of submissions here this weekend. I can't thank you guys enough for that. That is coming up next as we continue on here with a Tuesday Locked On Vols. All right, boys and girls, Monopoly Go, a proud sponsor of the show. I need you guys to listen up for a huge announcement. I've been tracking the leaderboards every day, keeping my eye on the scores, putting all my heart into it. I'm super pumped to announce I am finally on top. That's right. Obviously, I'm talking about the hit new mobile game, Monopoly Go. You probably heard of it. Been downloaded 150 million times. It's a great mobile twist on the classic Monopoly. You can play anywhere, anytime. You can explore hundreds of Monopoly boards from Las Vegas to Camelot to the moon, all while tracking in a huge fortune. You can charge rent on your iconic properties just like classic Monopoly. You can charge your friends rent on your iconic properties or go after their Monopoly money by pulling bank heist and taking wrecking balls to their landmarks. But my favorite part about the leaderboards where you can see who's a Monopoly tycoon and who's gone bankrupt. So get going yourself on the charts. Download Monopoly Go now for free on the App Store and Google Play. That is Monopoly Go. It is for free on the App Store and Google Play. All right, we got a couple more Twitter Tuesday questions coming up here on today's show. Appreciate you guys for sending those in. Let's go to Joey. Joey says, how many wide receivers do we take in 2025, the class, and do we lose any to the portal? If you're talking about for this portal cycle, doesn't really feel like it. I know Elijah Herring is into the portal. There's reports out there about Jason Jenkins probably going to the portal, defensive lineman. At the time of this recording, there's nothing officially started in the process, but I think that's his intention. So I guess you can count 2 right now, but none of those are wide receivers. Doesn't feel like a wide receiver is going to go right now, but wouldn't shock me again. Still got plenty of time with this portal opening. If it's going to be somebody entering the portal, I don't think it's going to be somebody that's going to be a super duper playmaker on this team for next year, if that makes sense. So we'll see. But right now I'd say probably not. And how many receivers do we take in 2025? 3 for sure. I think they would take 4 if the right guys wanted to come in. So 3 for sure. 4 is what I'm going to go with, though. Let's go to Blake Phillips. If you had a choice to bring a championship in one sport at the University of Tennessee, would it be baseball, basketball, or football? Barnes gets my vote. I would love to see the other programs win, no doubt, I'm sure. But I'm not sure how much longer Barnes will be coaching. I would like to see him win a title before he's done coaching because he is the most deserving. Not saying the other programs aren't, but with this time he's put into the program and his age, I think it would be great to see him win it. Oh, for sure. No, you're not going to get any disagreements on Rick Barnes here. I mean, I would love for him to win a national title. I think his best chance to win a national title before he retires was this year. I do. And they went to the Elite Eight and it was awesome. It was a magical season. But I think that was his best chance. Who would I want to win it mostly? I mean, I want all these guys to win it. I mean, I cover baseball and I like Tony Vitello a lot and I enjoy covering his teams. Of course, I cover football as well and I like Josh Heupel and I like what he's doing here. I like Rick Barnes a lot. But I mean, if I had to pick one, it'd be football. Because I'm a football fan first and foremost. I love football. I have a background in football. This fan base is a college football fan base. It's an everything fan base, but it's a football fan base. And also, I mean, when football is winning, I'm making more money, to be completely blunt with you guys. People in my industry make more money when your team is good and interest is peaking, right? So for me, I would say football, but you're absolutely right. Most deserving? I mean, it's hard to say somebody's more deserving than the other because they all work their tails off, but man, Rick Barnes, you won it for him for sure. But I would say football, Blake. I would say football. Let's go to Braden. Braden says, this is a question just for debate. I have no side. Does Josh Heupel have the capability to ever pass Philip Fulmer in terms of legacy with Tennessee football? What are your favorite memories with your job? I'll start with my job part. Love traveling. I love being able to travel for my job. So going to Pittsburgh was a blast in the 2022 season. Staying downtown Pittsburgh, awesome price, got us in this fancy hotel that I can't afford in real life, and it was awesome. And I've been able to take a private jet a couple of times. That trip, I took a private jet, which was just incredible because a guy like me from East Tennessee in Jefferson County, went to high school in Dumpling Valley, never envisioned I would ever be, flying in a private jet. That is not the norm, but it's happened to me twice. Those are memories. That's awesome. Going to Missouri in 2021, leaving Knoxville in a PJ at 7 a.m, getting there for a 11 o'clock local time kick, and returning back to Knoxville by 5:30, 6 o'clock in the evening, and hearing football finals on the radio when I'm driving home, all in a day's worth of work, thanks to a PJ. Incredible. Just incredible. So those are some of my favorite memories. Going to Omaha last year was a blast. Really the whole postseason baseball journey last year was a blast. Me and my buddy Minitz just hung out and pretty much spent the entire month together and had a lot of great memories with some friends and tossed a few back, had a great time. So that was fun. Going to Miami was fun. I mean, again, traveling for me is fun. I love seeing different parts of the country. I think that's a blast. To your first question, does Josh Heupel ever have the capability to pass Fulmer in terms of legacy with Tennessee football? Yeah, if you win a national championship. If you win a national championship, for sure. Now, Fulmer won a natty. He played here, and he was the O-line coach and an assistant before he was the head coach. So it runs a little bit deeper for Phil Fulmer. And of course, he went on to be the AD as well. But you win a natty, then yeah, you can have that conversation. Until Josh Heupel wins a national championship, I don't think that you can even have that conversation. That is just my opinion. All right, that's going to do it here for the questions. Real quick on the way out, I want to talk about Christian Moore. Goodness gracious, SEC Player of the Week, Christian Moore, because why not? He has homered 9 times in the past 3 SEC series. That means he's averaging a home run per game in that stretch, which is incredible. He homered 3 times on Sunday. I told you we had to record Monday's show before Game 3 of the series, and what a Game 3 it was, 13-11. That just goes to show you 2 top 10 teams in the country. That Sunday in college baseball is wacky because everybody runs out of pitching. 13-11 was the final score. But Simo homered 3 times, passing Blake Burke for the program home run lead. He's at 46 now. Burke is at 44. Here's worth noting as well, because Christian Moore is now within striking distance of becoming at least tying and maybe surpassing the single season home run record for Tennessee. He's up to he's up to 19 now, I think, up to 19 home runs. And Sonny Cortez had 24 back in 1998. So Christian Moore is right there. And so he's been really, really fun to watch. His second SEC Player of the Week honor, he won it back earlier this month on April the 8th as well. Tennessee, just what a series win for Tennessee, the baseball team, over a really good quality Kentucky baseball team. That's a good ball club. It is. And Tennessee just found a way and had, unsung heroes stepping up and doing some things. Cannon Peebles' sack fly on Sunday was huge. Every run counted. It's the CMO show, because Kavaris Tears slapped a 2-run home run into the Tennessee bullpen as well. Aaron Combs on Saturday. AJ Causey on Friday. The list goes on and on. Blake Burke, his hitting streak is now up to 30 games. His on-base streak is now up to 38 games, and he's still one of the nation leaders in doubles. So Tennessee baseball and Christian Moore are on fire right now, and I can't wait to see what they do. They should sweep Missouri at home this week. Really, the next 2 weekends, at home against Missouri and on the road to Florida. Those are the 2 worst teams in the SEC East. Tennessee better stack up some W's and handle some business in that regard. All right, that's going to do it here for Tuesday edition of Locked On Vols. Can't thank you guys enough for being here and joining us here today, sending in your mailbag questions. Tennessee gets a big-time commit from Radarious Jackson, a priority target in-state wide receiver. Tennessee gets him, and appreciate all your questions that you sent in for the mailbag edition of the show. Watch us, listen to us, download us, subscribe to us, all for free, wherever you get your podcasts. Locked On Vols on the YouTube channel. Thank you guys as always. We'll come back tomorrow with a little Award Wednesday and more. This is Locked On Vols.